Why are you in my video? You're just so like awkwardly sitting there.
I'm famous.
Hey guys, welcome to another video.
Ow.
It's summertime, everybody's home, yay! So for today's video, I have been obsessed for the past week with making paper beads.
Like when she says
Obsessed. Like I can sit back here and roll paper beads all day.
She's obsessed to the point where she has no room for her paper that she makes paper beads out of, but she keeps on buying it at Tuesday mornings, which I tell her not to.
See, that's why they need to go to school and get away from me.
Because we tell on you.
They tell on me. And they not only do this to YouTube, they do this with their father too. Like the nerve. So anyway, yes, if you've never heard of paper beads, it is a thing. And I'm going to show you today how I make them. It's not one specific person that I came across. It was just the idea of making journal tassels. I wanted to make journal tassels, and I wanted to have I have some different kinds of yarn and ribbon, and then I was like, I need beads. I need some kind of like, you know, bead or something. And I have some beads, but nothing that I thought would look good on the tassels. So anyway, today's video is about making the beads. I'll make another video about the tassels because I'm excited about those too. And if you watched my office clean with me, you saw a little sneaky peek of those. So let's jump into today's video where I will show you how I make my paper beads. If you want to make a different, there's lots of different ways to make them. There's lots of different dimensions. I'm going to show you just a couple of ways that I make them, and then you can just kind of go from there. If it's something that you feel like you want to do, just look up YouTube videos making paper beads and you'll find plenty of instruction videos. Now, I'm not going to use tools that are like that you have to buy for this. I'm going to use things that I have around my house because y'all know me. I am not going and buying tools for, you know, something that I just found that I like doing. In the future, if I find that it's something that I really enjoy doing and I find that I'm doing a lot of it, I might go on Amazon or, you know, go to Michael's or something and, you know, get a coupon code or something for making paper beads or whatever. But just starting out, I'm using items around the house. So enough chatting, let's get to the video. All right, guys. So I'm sorry if the lighting's bad. It's a pretty cloudy day outside, and I use natural lighting for all my videos, so unfortunately, this is what I get. So here are a couple examples of some of the paper beads that I have done. Now this is one of my favorites because it's done with a sheet of paper that looked like an old piece of chipped board. Okay. This is another one that is done with the same paper. So pretty, I love it. This is a different paper and a different, you know, style. And again, different paper, but one of those styles. Another little one here. And these are super fun to make, and I am going to show you how easy they are to make. Now, the only thing that I will tell you is that if you have any type of arthritis in your fingers, this might be a little bit more difficult for you. So, I would say that if you did have arthritis in your fingers, one of the tools that they sell, you know, online or specifically for making paper beads would make this process a lot easier for you, because the process of rolling the paper can be a little bit difficult on your joints if you had issues with that. So here's some of the things that I'm using. I've got some of this Mod Podge. This happens to be the glossy stuff, which I like the way that these beads look when they've got the gloss on them. Another one that, now this is from the Dollar Tree, but another thing that I went out and bought, I absolutely love the way that this looks. It is a sparkle finish, and I didn't do any of these in a sparkle finish, but I will for you, just so you can see how it looks. This bottle, I believe, was like $7.80 at Walmart. So well worth it though. You get so much in here, and I'll show you what it looks like when I make some of these beads. I'll give a coating of this too, and you can see how beautiful they turn out. You can use some Tombow Mono liquid glue. I don't use this all the time. Sometimes I use this. I'll probably use this school glue today, as a matter of fact. This, I believe, we got at the Dollar Tree. So if you have any Elmer's or any, you can use any school glue, I believe. These are some wooden skewers. Don't know where I got them. The one thing I will tell you though is be careful with your wooden skewers. I got a big old splinter in my finger yesterday messing around with these wooden skewers. So be careful. Don't ever try to go against the grain touching these wooden skewers, because that's how that happened. It's a little sore today still, but just be really careful with these, please. You can use a pen to wrap around if you wanted a thicker inside here. See the inside? If you wanted a thicker like diameter, you could wrap your paper around a pen to create a thicker diameter. And of course you can use just you know, any kind of ruler with a pair of scissors to cut the paper. I'm going to use my paper trimmer just because it's easier for me, but you don't have to. Just use a ruler with a pen and a pair of scissors to cut your paper if you want. All right, now let's get started cutting some paper. The first one that I'm going to show you how to do is this one here, because this is probably my favorite bead to make. These two are the same. They're just made with different papers. So this one is my favorite one to make, and let me grab some paper over here. Yes, I'm gonna grab some colorful paper because I wanna show you how it's gonna look when you roll it if you have all these different colors. So, here's my paper trimmer, okay? Now for this bead right here, you're going to need 3 strips of paper. Now I'm using, this was from a 12 by 12 piece of paper. You can use 8.5 by 11. It'll just, you know, make a little bit of a thinner bead if you're doing an 11-inch. So either 11 inches long or 12 inches long, whatever paper that you use. But you're gonna have 3 strips. The first strip is going to be however long it is. This is 12 inches. And on each end, you're gonna cut it at 5/8 of an inch. So I'm gonna measure here. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/8 of an inch. And that side is also at 5/8 of an inch. So I'm gonna put that in there, and I'm gonna cut. Okay, here's our first strip of paper, 5/8 of an inch on each end, and it's 12 inches long. Now, the next strip of paper is going to be tapered. So one end is going to be 5/8 of an inch, and the following end is only going to be 3/8 of an inch. So it's going to come in and taper into a smaller piece of paper. So with your paper trimmer, if you're using a paper trimmer, okay, you're going to want to measure one side at 5/8 of an inch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. And then you're going to want to hold this one here, but then take this corner up here. I'm trying to get you in focus, I'm sorry. In frame, I meant. Take this corner and bring it to 3/8 of an inch. Okay? So now you've got 3/8 of an inch here, 5/8 of an inch here, so you're tapered. Okay? Okay, I hope that you can see how this goes from 5/8 of an inch and it goes in to 3/8. Okay? Now, if you're trying to cut with a pen and scissors, all you have to do is take your paper, okay? I would flip it over, honestly, to make your markings on the back. Put it here, make 5/8 of an inch, mark it. Flip it around, okay? Come in 3/8 of an inch, mark it, and then take some kind of straight edge. Take some kind of straight edge and just draw the line where your 5/8 mark is and your 3/8. Draw the line and then cut that out, okay? I hope I'm not confusing anybody. But I'm using my trimmer just because, like I said, it's easier for me. So that was our second piece. So far we have one piece of paper that measures 5/8 of an inch on one side, 5/8 of an inch on the other. Second piece measures 5/8 of an inch on one side, 3/8 of an inch at the other end. Now the third one is going to measure 3/8 of an inch on one end. So let's find that 3/8 of an inch. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And 1/8 of an inch at the tapered end. So I'm holding my 3/8 and I'm just going to put my corner up here at 1/8. 3/8 down here, 1/8 up here. Put my guide down. I usually like to start cutting from my widest part because it doesn't tear it won't tear the paper if you do that. See, there you go. Okay, 3/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so now you have your 3 strips of paper that we're working with. We're going to put this away. And we're going to start assembling this bead. Okay, so I'm going to take my skewer. Again, you can use a highlighter if you want a thick diameter on the inside, if you're going to be threading it onto a thicker rope or you know, something like that. If you wanted to use a pen, this is a little bit, you know, on the medium side. I wanted to use a skewer because that way it would fit perfect onto what I want to use it for. So you're going to start with your straight piece that measures 12 inches long, 5/8 of an inch, 5/8 of an inch. All you're going to do is you're going to take your piece of paper and you're going to start wrapping it onto itself. Now I find that if I leave it a little bit loose from the skewer, it gives me a little bit of wiggle room, because this is not, you're not going to want your bead to stick to this. I also find that if you spray your skewer with cooking spray and then wipe the excess off and let it dry a little bit, that it prevents any kind of sticking. So as you can see, we're rolling here and you're coming across all these colors. There's some pink right there. Roll a little bit more. And I'm trying to stay as straight as possible. I'm not doing a perfect job, but you can just push it onto itself here to kind of straighten it out. Oh, I lost some tension. That's all right. That's okay. I'm just going to regain that tension there by pulling it tight. There's a darker pink, so we're coming across these different colors here. And right now it really doesn't, the colors really don't matter because it's all one piece of paper. So we're rolling them all on each other and you're not being able to see those colors. But when you start rolling the tapered pieces, you're really gonna see the colors are gonna shine through. So I'm just keeping on rolling here. I haven't even used my glue yet. I do not use my glue until, honestly, I get to the very end. That's where I'm going to use my school glue here, okay? I'm going to put some right here. I'm doing it really messy because I don't care if it overflows. I kind of want it to, because that's going to give it a nice seal. So I'm going to let it kind of overflow here. You want to prevent it from getting onto the skewer because you don't want the glue to get onto the skewer. You want your bead to be able to see how freely it moves. That's why I didn't do it too tight on the skewer, because you don't want your glue stuck to the skewer. And then I just take it around and put the excess glue all over the rest of the bead. But again, I'm being real careful not to get any glue on the skewer. Okay. Now this right here, let me just tell you, this is like a little corn on the cob set. This was for corn on the cob. You were supposed to put like the butter here and then you put your corn on the cob here. This is perfect for this. If you don't have something like this that's shaped like this, just get, you know, you could just take like 2 rulers and put them side by side and then just kind of balance your skewer. Anything that's the same height, just put it down and you can balance this on there. So I'm going to wipe my hands off now because we're going to go in with the next piece. Okay. Now the next piece that we're going to work with is the one that measures 5/8 of an inch on this side and 3/8 of an inch on this side. So we're going to find out where we left off, which is right there. We left off right there. I'm going to put some glue right where we left off, and I'm going to line up my 5/8 of an inch with my 5/8 of an inch right here, and I'm going to hold it for just a second because that's where I'm going to start rolling again. I hope you can see this. I should probably let me take this mat out of the way because I feel like the mat is matching the paper that I'm using. Is that better? Oh, that is a ton better. Okay. All right, good. I did not realize that the paper was fading into the cutting mat. So again, this is not going to be perfect, you guys. I'm a little bit off right here, and that's fine. When you make these beads, you're not going to be perfect at all. All right, that's dry enough. So now what we're going to do is we're gonna start rolling. The important part, and it doesn't matter which way you roll, you guys, I like to roll towards myself for some reason. I think it's because I wanna make sure that this is centered. Okay, so the important part is that you're rolling in the center of the bead. You don't want one side to be flush with the other, because that's not how this is supposed to be. This bead is supposed to be getting thicker in the center because the paper is tapered. Now this is where you're gonna start seeing the different colors of the paper. So that's why I like using really colorful paper, because that's where you start seeing the different colors. And again, this one, I literally glued it at the beginning, and I'm not gonna glue it until the end. I don't feel like it's really that important to use the glue until the end, because we're gonna be coating this with Mod Podge anyway. So the Mod Podge is gonna be sealing it up. And I'm just gonna hold it for a second. And then I'm just gonna kind of roll it to get the rest of that Elmer's glue on there. Oof, got a little bit of Elmer's glue off. Okay, well, that's fine, whatever. Okay. All right, so there we are. See, it's ended right there. So now we're moving on to our last piece here, which measures 3/8 of an inch all the way down to 1/8 of an inch. And I'm sure you've already guessed, you're taking your 3/8 of an inch and it's gonna match right to this 3/8 of an inch area that you stopped at, okay? So again, you're gonna put some glue right at this 3/8 of an inch, and see, you can see all the beautiful colors. And those colors are really gonna show through when you seal it with the Mod Podge. And that's why I really like the gloss or the glitter one. The glitter makes it look like diamonds. Oh, it's so pretty. I mean, I like the gloss too, because see, it makes it look really shiny. I don't know if you're getting the shine from that, but it does make it look shiny. So it makes it look like an actual bead. Okay, so again, important part. Ooh. I started to move it a little bit too soon. It wasn't dry yet. So again, important part, you've got to keep it centered, or it's not gonna come out right. You have to be patient with it too. The glue's not gonna dry real, quick or anything, so you have to be really easy with it. So we're taking it and just keeping it centered so we can get the shape that we want. And all these colors are showing up now. I feel like I wanted a little bit more tension, so I kind of unwound it a little bit and pulled a little bit tighter. I felt like there wasn't enough tension there. So I guess if you're trying to do like a color scheme, keep in mind that whatever's on the back of this 1/8 of an inch is going to be pretty noticeable. I mean, the rest of it is going to be noticeable. You can see all the different colors coming through, but this is going to be the center of your bead. Whatever that last 1/8 of an inch looks like. So I like to leave at least an inch out right there, because it's so thin. I like to at least include an inch worth of glue right there. And then I'm gonna hold it for just a second, because it's whittle and I don't want it to unroll. These are so freaking cute, you guys. And like the possibilities are endless. You can make different colors, different shapes. Like I said, you can make different like glossiness of them. You can even use them raw, like this. Like this is even cute if you wanted to use them like this. But I'm just like, I'm shocked that you can take paper and make it look like a shiny bead. So from here, I usually set it to the side and let them dry while I work some more. So I just take my little doohickey here. It slides off real nice and easy because I didn't pull it too tight, and I'll just take this, put it to the side while I roll a couple more beads. So next let's do one of these long beads, okay? Now this is pretty thin, okay? But when you give it a couple coats of Mod Podge, it's not gonna be you can't crush it, is what I'm trying to say, if you give it enough coats of Mod Podge. Plus, if you use a good quality cardstock, it's going to give you that much more firmness to the bead. All right, so for this one, there it is. For this one, we're just going to cut one sheet of paper. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and cut the strip off the end of this one because I don't want that. So for this one, we are going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3/4, 7 inch. You know what? I'm going to go right. I'm going to line up 7/8 down here, and then I'm going to go all the way down to 2/8, 1/4 right there at this end. So on this end, I'm doing 7/8. On this end, I'm doing 1/4. And I'm going to cut. So this is going to be a thinner bead, but it's going to be longer. Now, this paper doesn't have so much different colors in it, I guess you could say. So I don't know how this bead is going to look. Let's try it. So I'm going to take my long end here. That's where I'm going to start. And I'm going to, again, just start rolling. And sometimes you just need to roll like this and then let it go just so you can get a start, okay? Just to give the paper the chance to start rolling. Now with this one, it's tapered, and so you're gonna want to keep it in the center from the very beginning. This is not gonna line up on the sides. You're gonna want to keep this centered the whole time that you're rolling. It can be a little bit more difficult, but it just comes out looking like a different type of bead. And you can cut these things, like Hannah does these, she doesn't even measure. She just knows that you have to taper the paper. So she doesn't go from like, oh, you know, 7/8 to whatever. She just knows that your paper has to be big on one end and small on the other. So she makes beautiful beads and doesn't even measure them. So do you really have to measure? Nope. You just have to have some kind of structure to your bead. These are cute. So I'm going to stop with about an inch there and add plenty of glue. And then finish rolling. See? So now you just got a different shaped bead, okay? So we can take this one off, same thing. You just slide it off, and we're gonna put it right on here to dry next to this one while we do another bead. So here's what I wanna show you. Say you don't have any cardstock that you like that has any what am I trying to say? Any colors that you like on it. That's what I'm trying to say. So what you can do is get out your markers, and this makes for a really cool look too. Get out your markers, okay? Now I'm going with kind of a pink theme here. So I'm going to get out my markers, and I'm going to do, I like this color pink. Okay, so I'm going to do, I want to do another one of these barrel ones because I want to show you how cool they look if you put splotches of ink on the paper before you roll them. So let me cut it down to size, and then I'll show you what it looks like with these splotches of ink. Okay, so here's my strips. 5/8 of an inch, 5/8 of an inch, 5/8 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, 3/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch. So what I like to do sometimes is take my marker and go in and just lay it down. Now with this 5/8 of an inch, just remember you're only gonna see the sides of it. So there's no sense in even going into the center of it. Because remember, this is the one that you wrap on itself. So you're only seeing the sides. So I'm just going here and there and getting some of the sides. Okay. Okay. Now this one, you start to see the sides a little bit. So this one, you might want to go in a little bit. And I'm just making you know, blotchy areas some places, big areas in other places. You'll see when this starts rolling together that it looks really cool. It looks almost like a marbled effect, to tell you the truth. And then I'll start doing like little veiny areas when you start getting to this area, because you know that you're going to see a lot more of this. So you can start doing some veiny areas or big areas. Okay. So I got some pink in there. So let's start rolling and see how this looks. Let me get this out of the way so it's not distracting. So make sure I'm starting with the right one. I am. 5/8 of an inch, 5/8 of an inch. So if you wanted to, you could cut a whole bunch of paper and take it over to your couch some night. Turn on a good Netflix series and start rolling you some beads. You don't have to do this step the way that I'm doing it. You could do all of your paper. You could cut all your paper one day, and then you could roll all your beads sitting over in front of your TV. Okay? You could cut and roll all your beads and then just spend a whole day glazing them, you know? There's just so many ways you can do this, and it's so fun to do, I'm telling you. You get so many options, so many color options, and so many different types of beads. Like, if you go to Michael's, you guys go to Michael's, seriously, look at the beads. And not saying that you can't get a decent deal, because again, if you use coupons and you get a sale and yada, 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 you can get a good deal. You can craft affordably, but scrap paper, you know what I mean? Really? Take your scrap paper, cut it into strips, and then just sit in front of, you know, a good Netflix series one day and roll all your stuff into beads, and boom, you have like a whole other dimension of craft supplies, you know? So now I'm going to the next color. So you can't really see any difference there except for the sides, but here's where you're going to start to being able to see your colors. I feel like this is the hardest part, lining up the two pieces and then being patient enough to wait for it to dry enough to wrap it. Because I think if you know Chaotic Mom, you know that like patience is not, I'm just not patient. I'm just not a patient person. See, I want to mess with it. I want to touch it. I'm just so not a patient person. Like, and you know what really irritates me is like my daughter, my middle daughter, like she is all about instant gratification, and oh my God, it irritates me so bad. Well, guess where she got it from? Duh, me. So it's just really funny that if you sit down and think about like what really irritates you about your kids, and it's usually a trait that they get from you. Oh, it's like God's little way of laughing at you. He sure is funny. So you can already see these little areas of pink popping through as I'm rolling this. See? And you'll be able to see it even more as we get to the next layer. Oh, pinky popping through. You can see it from the side too. You can see all those little layers of pink. It is really cool because, like I said, when you glaze it, it almost looks like you're like you've got a marble bead, because it gets really shiny, especially with that glitter stuff. I can't wait for you guys to see the glitter Mod Podge. It's really cool. Okay, let's start the next one. You know, honestly, like if you didn't have Mod Podge at your house, I guess you could probably glaze it with Elmer's glue. Okay, baby. As I've said in other videos, everybody's home. Okay. Everybody's home. It's summertime, so you're not getting peace and quiet in this house. Not a chance. Especially not with the pool and all the neighbor kids. Funny, funny. All right, this is my favorite one, the last one, when you start wrapping this last one and you get to see all the pretty colors popping through. I'm sorry my hands are in the way. I don't know how to wrap this without my hands being in the way. So I'm just kind of like doing the best I can to show you. I'm doing the best I can, people. Alright, it's so pretty. Alright. I see so much pretty pink on this. It looks so pretty. Hold it there for a second.
My senior pictures came in.
Oh, yay. You guys get to see Selena's senior pictures. They didn't bend them, did they?
Here, I'm doing over here.
All right. I'm going to set this to dry. There she is, Miss America. There she is, Miss America.
There's another.
My senior. I can't believe she's a senior. How did this happen?
Guess who did this makeup and stuff? This girl.
Mwah. I did her hair and her makeup. But it's pretty easy to make a beautiful girl look beautiful.
You don't even really have to do anything.
Mm-mm. Very pretty. You're gorgeous, my darling.
My darling.
You're gorgeous, darling. Gorgeous. I hope so. Okay, so here we go. We got this. It's looking kind of marbled and looks really fun. The other thing you can do is take your marker after you get done. Here, I'm going to use this one right here, okay? And you can do it on there like that. Okay? Just touch it to it. Give it some color in different areas. Doesn't have to be perfect. You don't want it to be perfect because that's why it's going to look beautiful, because it's not perfect. Okay? Maybe a big piece of blue area there. Maybe some on the side here. And down the side here. I hope I'm in frame because I'm just really doodling. Okay, so now you've got all these different areas. Okay, so I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and we are going to glaze these. That way I can show you how I do that. So like I said, you can use the gloss Mod Podge. You can use, if you like the matte finish, you can go ahead and get a matte Mod Podge. You can use them raw like this. Listen, they're solid, okay? These, not so solid because they're only made with one piece of paper, see? I still don't think they would get damaged, but I personally would glaze them. They're solid as can be, look. But I personally would still glaze them. So if you wanted the matte unfinished, I mean, if you wanted this like a naked look to them, go ahead and use a matte. Gloss will make them shiny like that, okay? And then I'll show you this glitter one. So let's start with the glitter. Actually, let's start with the gloss one. I've got this pack that I found at Walmart. I think I paid $1.67 for 30 of these. Now, don't get me wrong, they're not great quality, but I'm not looking for quality. I'm looking for cheap. I thought I had some out already, and I guess I don't. So I by no means throw these away. I wash them when I'm done with them. But for 30 of them, you know, if you want to give them to your kids to mess with, whatever. So here's what I do with these. So I'm just going to kind of move these out of the way. And I'm just going to start . Guys, so this is what they turned out looking like. I'm sorry that the lighting stinks in here. Like I said, it's cloudy outside. This one is just shiny, and as you can see, I really like the way it turned out with the when I went in with the marker, because it looks almost like it's a marble, and it's just really pretty.
Ooh, that's pretty.
These are super shiny and glittery and beautiful. This is like my favorite Mod Podge ever. I like the way that it leaves everything so sparkly. And this really makes them look like gemstones. So I really like the way that they turn out with the glitter on them. All right, that is it for today's video. I hope that you enjoyed making paper beads with me today. I hope that you cut out some paper and make some paper beads of your own. They're super fun. You can do so many different things with them. Put them on some wire, make some bracelets, make some necklaces. Give them to the grandkids when they come over. Give them to your kids. Let the kids make something out of them. They're just really pretty and super versatile to use. So I hope that you guys had fun today making these with me, and I will see you in my next video. Make sure you like and subscribe to Chaotic Mom, and I'll see you next time. Bye.